In all of UFOlogy, there is no situation more terrifying and misunderstood than the phenomena of alien abductions. Thousands of people around the world have reported terrifying and paradoxical accounts of kidnapping from beyond. These kidnappers bring their abductees home after the incident. Which is nice, it makes evidence gathering easier. A large portion of accounts portray the victims to be completely and utterly subdued during the incident. Awareness but zero motor control is the norm. The silent kidnappers seem to have some kind of non-anthropomorphic planus. In UFOlogy, it is believed to be many different types of aliens responsible for all these abduction accounts. Nothing really is off the table. Dimensional, pandimensional, time travelers, etc. could be the culprits. Accounts and events vary wildly, but the complete paralyzation of the victim is a common thread. People report being taken away from their home to some place that can only be described as alien. Some people remember the actual traversal from home to Wonderland, some don't. Some report invasive painful medical-like procedures, while others report more of a 1960s-style love-in with all love and light aliens. Through all that, others have the traumatic experience but no memory of it at all until regression therapy makes the revelation. Through all the obfuscation and parallax reality, how can anything more than an anecdotal account ever come from alien abductions? Abductees cannot move their hands or feet. How can they be expected to bring evidence back? Good thing that you don't have to move anything to gather all the evidence humanity needs. Background. Dr. Edmund Locard. The concept of evidence should be no different in this case than in any other. If these abductions are real events and not totally internally generated hypnagogic imagery, these abductees are bringing home evidence every single time they are violated. In the science of forensics, there is truism called Locard's exchange principle. This principle is the bedrock of modern forensics. It holds that the perpetrator of a crime will bring something into the crime scene and leave with something from it, and that both can be used as forensic evidence. Locard speculated that every time you make contact with another person, place, or thing, it results in an exchange of physical materials. He is the grandfather of trace evidence. Traces of physical materials, no matter how minute, can tell a story. Trace evidence is factual. Unlike humans, it cannot be confused by the excitement of the moment, does not forget, and never develops crippling, debilitating dementia. It's a silent witness that speaks when humans cannot. Physical evidence cannot be wrong, it cannot lie, it cannot be wholly absent. Only human failure to find it, study and understand it, can diminish its value. So far, humanity has completely diminished the alien abduction phenomena by not developing the correct eyes to move from speculation to accepted hypothesis. The situation. Every time that you encounter their environment, you bring a little piece of it home, you can't help it. If you were lying on an examination table, you are bringing a tiny piece of it with you. Any instruments or biological entities touch you, you bring a little piece of them home. You may not think you do because you can't see it, but it's there. Every time you are abducted and taken to another realm, you bring home all the evidence humanity would ever need to prove the high strangeness is just plain old strange. Each of us carries around millions of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and viruses on the inner and outer surfaces of our bodies. Most of them aren't dangerous. In fact, growing evidence indicates that they help us in lots of ways. Scientists call this collection of organisms our microbiome. Recent discoveries have shown that we constantly enveloped in a cloud of our microbiome. Think of Pigpen from the Peanuts comic strips. Each and every one of us have a constant cloud of microbes circling us. It enters a room before you do and lingers after you leave. It blends with all the people you encounter in your life, and you blend with theirs. Science has developed techniques to analyze this atmospheric microbiome. They have developed the ability to identify individual people only by their lingering microbiome. This cloud is suspected to be as individualized as fingerprints. Technology is in development that will be used in law enforcement to pull criminal offenders' microbiome from a crime scene to aid in conviction. Just being there will now be as good as leaving a fully formed finger mark. This collection of alien microbiome is our best and only method that has any chance of success of proving that the genesis of life happened more than once in the universe. Us, Earth, and them. If we could collect alien skin flakes, vapor from breath or transpiration, dust from alien metallurgy, food particles, or really anything floating in the turbulent air currents of your abduction chamber. They brought something into the chamber, by proximity it mixed around and in you, and you brought some of it out. Keep in mind these creatures that are doing this to you are not gods. They are not absolute. Their advancements may seem like magic, but it is not magic. Sufficiently advanced technology will appear as magic. Don't be fooled. These kidnappers do not know everything about you. They are not omnipotent. If they knew everything about you, you would not have been restrained to an examination table and examined. The only true power you may have in this situation is your mind. But that is all you will need. Use your intellect against them. Be as aware as possible of your environment. They think you are inferior, show them just how inventive we really can be. Their own cells and molecules will give them away. When an abductee enters the environment where they are examined or whatever, you can assume several things. They would have to recreate the environment that is conducive to your survival requirements. They either had or had to create an environment that matched our temperature range, atmospheric pressure, gas composition, humidity, gravity, etc. If you can breathe during your ordeal, you know you are gathering good evidence. This exposure will change your microbiome. You are coming in contact with a foreign environment. The most foreign possible. You are in contact with their atmosphere all over your body and lungs. The aliens, table, or platform will leave evidence on your skin. The moving of you will leave evidence. Everything in this mutant wonderland will. Every movement of your abductors in your environment stirs the pot of microbes and atmosphere. Even if you can't feel air movement, it is moving and mixing everything in the environment. You have all you need without blinking an eye or moving a muscle. If you have any communication with them, stall them. The longer you are in their artificially created environment, the better. Once you get back, if you get back now, the fun begins. The evidence that will change the world in regards to extraterrestrials will never come from photography or videography. No image or video can possibly do it. The only thing that will satisfy the world of non-true believers is alien biological material or alien metallurgy. Procedure. The ideal process to attain credible evidence should satiate both Edmund Locard and the microbial hunters. The potential abductee will be required to get a baseline microbiome assay performed. This would be a totally non-invasive test. Just sampling the air closely around you. The researchers will need an unadulterated baseline for comparison later. The subject needs not do anything besides keep up good hygiene and act as bait for highly invasive, highly terrifying, highly strange abduction-happy aliens. Now we wait for all hell to break loose. After an abduction, the abductee performs the microbial assay and submits both the control and test sample for comparison. The hope would be to over many trials and tests to discover statistical significant aberrations. Have enough samples to create a viable set, and lots of time to crunch the numbers, and maybe, just maybe, the holy grail, an alien microorganism. Just a few alien skin cells or biological detritus would be a jackpot. One test cannot prove anything, just be a curiosity. 1,000 tests analyzed and correlated proper can prove the truth. Until this technology becomes viable, we will have to stick with making Edmund Locard happy. Not to worry, the law enforcement industry is driving this technology, it is only a matter of time until it is a reality. Every abductee should have an abduction kit which they can use and send in for analysis. Looking for trace evidence is done in other fields of UFOlogy, why not in abductions? There is a lot of discussion about trace evidence, but as far as I can see, no concerted organized effort to gather microbial or trace evidence has ever been put forth. What I propose is a collection service of a sort. A central clearinghouse for abduction test kits. A place to collect, analyze, digitize, and correlate the samples and data. Essentially, the abduction kits would contain 2. Microbial cloud collection bags. When available: 1. Surgical lint remover high-tack adhesive roller. This high-tack adhesive roller is sterile. It quickly and efficiently picks up and removes lint and other foreign particles from surgical packs, wrappers, and gowns to help control contamination in ultra-clean surgical environments. Think of it as the surgeon's lint brush. It is designed to be an attractant to synthetic and biological debris. This fits our requirements perfectly. When you are in the midst of the abduction, if you are not petrified and functioning only on your ID, try to remember where your body comes in contact with the environment. Physical contact with the floor, any equipment, or the aliens themselves. Just remember where the contact is made. This will help later. Not necessary, but would be very useful. Wherever you are when you come back from the abduction and regain control and consciousness, the kit should be immediately administered. Immediately perform a microbial cloud assay test of yourself. Return test sample to abduction collection kit. With great care and consideration, take the surgical lint brush and run it over in proper fashion over every inch of your skin and or clothes. Carefully run it over wherever you were found or regained control from the event. If you were in bed, run the surgical lint brush over your spot. If it was in a car, process the seat. After samples are taken, seal it up with the microbial assay test and send to collection house for analysis. The goal is to get a very large sample of abduction kits into the system. Only with a large sampling can any meaningful statistical correlations can be drawn. 100 test collection kits would be good, but 1,000 would be much better. The surgical lint brushes would be analyzed, high-resolution scans made, detailed descriptions of particulates found and entered into a central database. Original samples preserved for further analysis if needed. Here is a possible best-case scenario. A statistically significant amount of samples has been found to have a common foreign particulate present. It was never noticed by victims or investigators up to this point because it only becomes easily visible under a specific polarized light frequency. Further and deeper examinations show that all the foreign particles have the same geometric shape. Something like a Tetris piece. This does not happen in nature. Sure, would be a great discovery. Just what we were looking for. Any discovery of new particles or correlations that we can make is a win-win. This proposed collection system would have most of its expense in the back end. The abduction collection kits would easily be under $30 including returned postage. The cost of processing and warehousing would be the big expense. All things considered, this system would be very cheap to operate when you consider the potential intellectual advancement potential. We really need to have new ideas, a new organization, and new determination to do whatever is needed to make the study of alien abduction an action-oriented discipline instead of what has always been an unfocused reactionary one.